Welcome back. If you're like us, you want to get past the headlines and really dig into complex topics.
Exactly. And today we're tackling one called Zoe Pound.
Right. We've got a source here, looks like a Wikipedia excerpt, about this group. It's a street gang, origins in Miami, Haitian roots.
Founded back in 1990, yeah. And our mission really is to just pull out the key facts from the source.
Uh-huh.
Where did they come from? How did they change over time? What kind of stuff are they involved in? And how far did they spread?
We want you to have a solid handle on this group by the end.
And that name, Zoe Pound, it definitely catches your ear. I think we should probably start there.
Good idea. It's actually pretty revealing. Zoe and Pound have distinct origins.
Okay, lay it on us. What's the deal with Zoe?
So Zoe, spelled Z-O-O-E, apparently comes from the Haitian Creole word zo, which means bone.
Bone.
Yeah, the idea is like being tough, hard to the bone, resilient.
Well, okay, I get that. Hardcore. And Pound. That doesn't sound Creole.
No, that one's different. It's an acronym.
Yeah.
P-O-U-N-D. An acronym. What does it stand for?
Let me check the source again. Here. Power of Unified Negroes in Divinity.
Wow. Okay, so bone for toughness, and then this acronym about power, unity, divinity. That's quite a combination.
It is. It hints at maybe, different layers to their identity, especially early on.
So let's go back to the beginning then. Miami, 1990. Haitian immigrants. But they didn't start out as a criminal gang, did they?
No, that's really important. The source says they started as basically a vigilante self-defense group.
Self-defense. Against what?
It was apparently a reaction to attacks that were happening against Haitian Americans in Miami at the time, so it was born out of a need for protection, it seems.
Right, community protection. That's a long way from, drug trafficking and murder, which the source mentions later. What happened? How did that change?
Well, the source points to something interesting around 1995, a split.
A split.
Yeah. Some prominent members actually denounced gang violence. They formed a rap group, but kept the name Zoe Pound.
A rap group?
Yeah.
With the same name. That's unusual. Does the source say why they kept the name or what the relationship was between the factions?
It doesn't really go into detail on that relationship, unfortunately. But it does highlight this major fork in the road, right? One part rejects violence, another part
Embraces it.
seems like it. Because by the late 1990s, the source clearly states they turned towards crime. Specifically, piracy on the Miami River.
Piracy. Like actual pirates.
Targeting Haitian trawlers, yeah. And it sounds pretty vicious. Reports of torture, even killings, if crews resisted.
Jeez. That's a brutal shift from protecting the community to preying on it. How did they grow from that into a bigger organization?
Well, timing might have played a role. The source mentions a big police crackdown in Miami around 1999.
Okay.
It apparently hit two other big gangs, the Boogie Boys and the John Does.
Ah, so it created an opening, a power vacuum.
Exactly. That's a common pattern, isn't it? One group falls, another rises to take its place. It suggests Zoe Pound was, well, positioned to expand.
And expand they did. Where did they end up? Was it just Florida?
Oh no, far beyond. The source tracks their presence moving north. By 2006, they were apparently identified as far away as Winchester, Virginia.
Virginia? Wow.
Yeah, and also places like Chicago, New York City, even up into Quebec, Canada, and the Bahamas, too.
So a pretty significant reach. What were their main criminal activities then, besides that early piracy phase?
The source lists the typical activities you might expect from an organized gang. Drug trafficking, robbery, murder, prostitution, and racketeering.
Racketeering, that implies more organized, ongoing criminal enterprise stuff, right?
Yeah, patterns of illegal activity, often involving extortion, things like that. It suggests a level of sophistication beyond just street crime.
Were law enforcement agencies able to make any headway against them?
The source mentions one specific case, yeah. In 2009, down in Fort Pierce, Florida, 6 alleged leaders were arrested.
On what charges?
Racketeering and conspiracy charges. And interestingly, the prosecution apparently relied on testimony from cooperating gang members.
Ah, insiders flipping. That's often how these groups get taken down, isn't it?
It can be a major vulnerability for them, yeah. Internal conflicts or people looking for a deal.
Now, there was also a connection mentioned to a really high-profile crime relatively recently.
Yes, that's right. The murder of the rapper XXXTentacion in 2018.
What was the connection?
According to the source, 3 of the people convicted in that murder were reportedly members of a Zoe Pound faction called ZMF.
ZMF. So maybe not the original core group, but an offshoot.
It suggests that, yeah, it might point to, fragmentation, or maybe the name Zoe Pound became more of an umbrella for various connected but maybe somewhat distinct crews. It adds complexity.
Definitely. So it might not be one single entity calling all the shots. What about other groups? Who are they aligned with or fighting against?
Okay, alliances mentioned in the source include some big names, the Black Mafia family,
BMF, okay.
and also connections with the Bloods and the Crips.
So aligning with some major players in the underworld and rivals.
The source lists a few, the Sap Boys, MS-13,
MS-13, wow.
and even the Hells Angels.
Hell's Angels, that's a diverse set of enemies.
Yeah.
From street gangs to, international biker gangs.
It paints a picture of a group navigating a pretty complex and likely violent landscape with lots of different kinds of organizations.
Right. So just to quickly recap the geography we got from the source.
Ooh. Started in South Florida, obviously, then expanded to Chicago, New York City, Quebec, the Bahamas.
And that past presence noted in Winchester, Virginia.
Exactly. Quite a footprint, geographically speaking.
So to sum it up, starts as this self-defense group for Haitians in Miami, splits. One faction turns heavily to crime, including piracy, then exploits a power vacuum to expand massively.
Engages in drug trafficking, murder, racketeering, establishes a wide network.
Forms alliances with groups like BMF, Bloods, Crips, fights rivals like MS-13 and Hell's Angels, and gets linked to major crimes like the XXXTentacion murder through factions like ZMF.
That's a pretty good summary of what this source tells us, yeah? From community protection to a sprawling criminal network.
It's quite a transformation.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely a sobering look based on this information. Really makes you think about how these groups evolve.
It absolutely does. And maybe that's the final thought for our listeners today. Think about those factors, What pushes a group formed for protection down such a different path?
And the challenges law enforcement faces dealing with an organization that's spread across so many different places.
Right. This source, this Wikipedia excerpt, it gives us a snapshot.
Yeah.
But what other questions does it spark? Maybe about gang dynamics in general, or the specific experiences of Haitian communities, or even just the history of crime in South Florida. Something to chew on.